12 expensive habits that will keep you poor. The list of human desires is never ending. We crave a variety of items that may or may not be good for us. For example, we rush to satisfy our cravings as soon as we can afford them. This is how billions of people all across the world act. This attitude toward money may bring a temporary grin to our faces when we obtain the objects we so much desire, but when we are unable to pay for the most essential things in our lives, we are confronted with the reality of our actions. In this video, I will share with you 12 expensive habits that will keep you poor forever. Habit number 1: spending more as you make more. Let's face it, spending money is fun. In fact, there is scientific evidence to support this phenomenon. When you're considering buying something, your brain releases dopamine. Dopamine is a chemical produced by our brains that plays a starring role in motivating behavior. It gets released when we take a bite of delicious food, when we have sex after we exercise, and when we spend money. In an evolutionary context, it rewards us for beneficial behaviors and motivates us to repeat them. This is why humans have such a hard time resisting spending, and often this spending is only curbed when all funds have been depleted and credit cards have been maxed out. However, when people come into money, this problem perpetuates. Habit number 2: sacrificing future happiness for present pleasure. There are two types of people in this world: those who live for today and those who build for tomorrow, and unfortunately, the majority of people fall into the first category. Now, don't get me wrong, enjoying the present is very important because no one knows how long each of us will live, but more likely than not you will make it to tomorrow, and if you are always trading future rewards for present pleasure, then you will never be rich. When the rich make more money, they forego the desire to spend the money today and, instead, sock it away into savings and investments that grow in value and provide financial resources that can be used in the future to maintain their current standard of living. Habit number 3: you think you're too young to worry about saving. Let's be real, when we're young, our primary focus is how to look cool and fit in with those around us. To do this, we buy the newest clothes and the latest gadgets to feel like we are a part of the in crowd. We are much more worried about our social status than saving for a house or our retirement. This carefree attitude leads us to spend every penny we earn, leaving little to support us down the road. In reality, you are never too young to start saving and, just as importantly, investing. Take Warren Buffett for example. He bought his first stock at age 11 and over the course of numerous decades has leveraged his mastery in investing to become one of the richest men in the world. Habit number 4: not tracking your spending. We all think that we know where our money comes from and where it ends up. Sadly, that's not true for most of us. We might be aware of our major expenditures like buying a car or getting a new phone, but the small things usually eat up our finances more than the big ones. For instance, when I used to not track my expenses, more often than not I would open up my credit card statement at month's end and be completely shocked by how much bigger my bill was than I anticipated. Being the lazy person that I am, I avoided setting up complicated apps or programs and simply began writing down all of my purchases in my iPhone notes. This simple yet effective strategy allowed me to see exactly where my money was going, and I still use this technique to this day. Habit number 5: lack of budgeting. Now maybe you are already tracking your spending? If so, great. But if you don't spend according to a plan, then you may still find yourself in financial trouble. You see, you could be tracking the fact that you are spending hundreds of dollars on drinks and clothes every month, causing you to rack up significant credit card debt, which will leave you in as much trouble as if you weren't tracking at all. This is where a budget comes in, and one of the best ways to budget is by using the 20/30/50 method. Habit number 6: ignoring your debt. As of June 2019, Americans are in more than $500 billion worth of credit card debt, with the average household having a balance of almost $7,000 on their cards. This insane amount of debt doesn't even factor in auto loans, student debt, and the largest debt, mortgages. Debt has become an issue in Western culture for a few reasons. Firstly, most people are unaware of the almost infinite ways there are to make money, meaning that their income is limited to what their employer will pay them, which more often than not isn't a lot. Second, people are in a constant struggle to compete with their peers in order to feel a sense of social validation, which they do through spending, which has been perpetuated by the rise in social media. Finally, debt operates in a vicious cycle. Habit number 7: constantly upgrading your electronic gadgets. It seems like every year, technology companies release new phones, computers, and tablets, making the ones we currently have even more obsolete than they already were. While the newest gadgets rarely have any significant differences in their functionalities, these companies note that on a psychological level, us humans are wired to want the latest electronics, but not because of their functions, but because of the social status they can offer us. For instance, every year Apple comes out with at least one new version of the iPhone, and while some years the changes between models are significant, most years they aren't. But what does change is the fact that you no longer have the newest model iPhone, which leaves you as a social outcast if the rest of your social circle decides to upgrade their phones. Upgrading your phone can easily cost a couple of $100s, which could be put to much better use if it was saved, or better yet invested. Habit number 8. You don't have a budget or keep it up to date. If you don't have a budget, how do you know much money you're earning, spending and saving? Without a budget, it is very difficult to accomplish your financial goals. A budget is all about knowing how much you earn so that you can set spending targets and hopefully save some money. Just knowing how much you're spending can help you spend less because you become more conscious about it. Habit number 9. You're not aware of your spending habits. Do you tend to overspend on eating out but underspend on groceries? This bad habit keeping you broke tends to go hand in hand with lacking a budget. While you can't change how much you earn in the near term, you can definitely change how much you spend. Especially non-essential expenses like eating out, entertainment, and other expenses that are more wants than needs. It's a lot easier to spend more money when you don't know how much you've already spent. Additionally, if you know where you tend to spend too much money, you can be hyper-focused on those areas when you're making purchases. Habit number 10. You're spending too much money on stuff you don't need. We've all had those purchases that we think back on like, why the hell did I buy that? These types of purchases can really hurt in the long run because it may feel like not a big deal in the moment. That souvenir was only $20 that you ended up putting in a closet. No big deal, it's only $20. But, if you would have invested that $20 instead, you could have doubled it in 10 years. That might not seem like much, but if you start to add up all of the unnecessary purchases plus investment returns, it can become a big amount. Habit number 11. You hold on to stuff giving you a false sense of wealth. When people buy a lot of stuff that they keep in their house, it can create a sense of being wealthy. We have 2 cars, a garage full of tools, a boat, skis and snowboards, bicycles, decorations all around the house. These can really go on. And if you're doing this, you may feel wealthier than reality. You have the illusion that you've bought all this stuff, so I must be fine financially. Buying stuff is one of the habits keeping you broke if you feel like all of that stuff means you're wealthy. Only the money you have in investments and assets is an indication of your wealth. Habit number 12. Buying cheap or quantity instead of quality. Instead of paying more for something, we buy the cheap version. But then it breaks and we have to buy another one. An easy example is sunglasses. You buy a cheap pair and you accidentally drop them, instantly breaking them. Time to buy another cheap pair. What if you just bought one nice pair and they outlast all of your cheap pairs? In the long run, you'll likely be better off purchasing quality items and even food. You're also more likely to take care of more expensive items. But you're probably only going to wear 5 shirts, or those 5 shirts may even outlast the 20 shirts. So that's all for today's video. I hope you all like this video. Please let us know some topics you want to see in this channel in the future. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe my channel. And also share it with your friends and family and all your social media platforms. We will be back soon with a new video. Till then, keep supporting and take care.